Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Jay's Latest. I am your host, Craig Borden, and let's just dive into it and step up to the plate. So, first things first, before we talk about last night's huge, embarrassing failure at the plate, we're going to talk about Chris Bassett, his partner from being with the Mets. Max Scherzer has an update, and Toronto Blue Jays fans should be getting a little bit excited because it actually was a lot better than my opinion than I thought we were going to get from Chris Bassett, or not Chris Bassett, Max Scherzer in a long time. As everybody knows, he's been dealing with thumb issues, and he hasn't been able to get that feeling back in his thumb for being able to hold and grip his pitches properly. In the one outing we saw him pitch in Toronto, you could see that struggle was relevant. And while he's been trying to figure out this thing, he had a different kind of a cortisone shot in a different joint of his thumb, I guess, the other day. This is last week. And he threw off a flat ground yesterday in Houston and was trying to just get the baseball, muscles moving as far as his pitching and stuff goes. He said apparently it went really, really well, and it's the best he's felt in a while. Um, the bigger thing in that whole thing is he wants to start ramping up to get back on the mound. So that is really good news for the Toronto Blue Jays. I want to make sure that you tailor expectations properly in that equation because it is a little bit rough as far as those pieces go, and you just never know with these kind of things, especially joints and whatnot for a baseball player. Max Scherzer is 40, and so tis what it is. But I hope there is some element of getting him back to the mound. But it has been, a saving grace having him in the bullpen for these pitchers because these pitchers have been doing well. So let's get to Chris Bassett because Chris Bassett was another breath of fresh air last night. And outside of the fact that he had a horrible first inning where there was just bad luck to go all around, there was nothing really hit out of the park, nothing crazy in the first inning, just little squibber after squibber after squibber, a little, dinks from Jose Altuve, Christian Walker, Brandon Rogers drove in some runs for the Astros, and in the midst of that, the Astros just jumped out to an early 3-0 lead. And that, just to put that in perspective, that only jacked up Chris Bassett's ERA to 1.88 on the very young season. So this is easily the best start he's ever had to a Major League Baseball season, and has been a guy that's notoriously cold in April. So really cool to see from Chris Bassett being able to just continue to muster up some great stuff for the Blue Jays. He would end up closing out his line with giving up 7 hits, and most of those were in the first inning. 5.1 innings, and he gave up 4 earned runs, 1 strikeout, or 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. It was a really decent outing. This should have been relevant and kept the Blue Jays in the game. But in the midst of a power outage at the plate, there's nobody safe in this offense, including a good start from Chris Bassett. We'll get to the bullpen here in a moment, but we have to flip the coin here to the other side of the baseball and just talk this out because this is where the problem is for the Toronto Blue Jays right now. The Toronto Blue Jays have been horrid over the last few games. They have 4 hits collectively in 2 games in Houston. I believe they said it was 4 for 58. I have not sat down and done the actual math, but 4 hits in 2 games. That's 18 innings with 2 hits in each game. Um, this is not going to get it done, guys, and that's the problem with this Blue Jays team right now. Is the pitching's been good enough to be in those games, but it's all on their shoulders. So how do you keep things moving in the right direction if you can't score runs? With the offense being in a power outage, like I mentioned, this cold snap, the if I'm in Chris Bassett's shoes, I figure I have to go out there and just mow through the Houston Astros, and that's just not going to happen every outing. Case in point with Kevin Gossman, he was cruising game one, and just hamster fell off the wheel for the 1 inning, and sure enough, the Blue Jays are down in a deep hole all of a sudden. These are the kind of things your offense helps your pitching, I think, a lot more than people actually realize, because it does give them the mindset of, okay, if I give up one, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's that just having to be perfect for this team to win does not help and spell success for these kind of things. And they have to find a way to scrape something together, get a few guys on base even, because they only had 2 walks on that. So the whole night they had a whole 4 base runners. And the biggest hit that they had, which was, by the way, the first home run that this team has hit since last Wednesday. Wrap your mind around that. It's only the 13th home run of the Blue Jays young season, and as Nathan Lucas hit a home run, and it was a moonshot that he just happened to get over the right field wall. That was his second career home run, and as much as I love Nathan Lucas, him in that batting in the 9 hole, you can't expect to be hitting home runs all the time. So, how is this team going to get back on offense and make good contact? I'm hoping it's just get the hell out of Houston, because Ronald Blanco, for whatever the hell reason, in his 2 major league starts, he's allowed only 2 hits against the Toronto Blue Jays, and both of them were last night. It's wild. I just don't get it. This team is too talented on offense, I think, to be having this many issues. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're all wrong. But to the point that the Blue Jays pitching has been, there's got to be more in the tank than this. So let's see what happens. But having Anthony Santander sit on the bench yesterday was also a question mark. I'm hoping he's back in the lineup today with no problems, and it was just a regular off day, but it seemed odd. So let's talk bullpen, because this has actually been a strong point of late. Brandon Little was the first out. Yariel Rodriguez and Mason Fluharty out of the pen yesterday, and Yeyrod being the only ding on that outing, and basically 3 innings yesterday. Gave up a home run, and to Yanier Diaz, who's a good major league home run. Or sorry, Isaac Paredes. Paredes is the quintessential pull hitter that is made for playing in a stadium like Houston, and just posited this ball in the Crawford boxes and called it a night. So, but that was really a cherry on top for the Blue Jays disaster here, and like I said, I hope that there's something going on in the right direction here, because this is a rough time for being a Blue Jay fan when we're talking about having strong bullpen outings and not trying to figure out how we can win some ball games. These guys just got to find a way to get some barrels on the baseball a little bit better and get some better at bats. But Ronald Blanco, to his credit, was very good last night. So it's not all the Blue Jays bats, but Blanco's got our number. Apparently, is all I'm going to say. So let's talk the next one. We got one more game here, a little bit earlier tonight. It's going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern time, or sorry, 7:40 Eastern time, and we're going to get Bound Francis versus Ryan Gusto, and Ryan Gusto is a young pitcher that you would hope the Blue Jays would be able to take advantage of, but so far this season, he's off to a really good start. He's only given up 6 earned runs in 17 innings, which is good for a 3.18 ERA. And apparently, he's been kind of starting to see an uptick in some of his earned runs over the last couple of outings, but San Diego and Los Angeles were not really able to fully solve him. San Diego was able to tune up him for 9 hits, so maybe this is the Easton Lucas kind of equation that the Blue Jays fans are well too aware of at this point, and maybe the league notes are starting to get out on Ryan Gusto, but we'll find out tonight and see what happens. Hopefully, Bowden Francis can continue his wonderful streak of what he's been doing, because he's been great in all of his starts so far this season, knock on desk, and keep things moving in the right direction for the Toronto Blue Jays on that avenue, and just keep things good. And Bowden Francis does what he's been doing these outings over the last few, basically year, I'll say. It should keep the Blue Jays in ball games, which should let the offense carry. You got to get things going. That's the problem. So hopefully the Blue Jays can figure out something in Houston tonight and go for there. I do have one thing I want to yell out here really quick, because it is happy birthday to one of my favorite pitchers of all time, Jimmy Key. He turned 64 yesterday, and I just want to make sure I gave him a shout out, because, like I said, one of my favorite Blue Jays and one of my favorite pitchers in general growing up and watching baseball. Happy birthday and cheers. So on that note, Blue Jays fans, make sure you listen to us here on Jay's Latest every day. I will be doing my best to be here every day. On that note, make sure you hit those like, share, subscribes, and make sure you join us on the Jaybird Watching podcast tonight because Wednesday evenings we do a live show. We chit chat with everybody in what we call the cheap seats, and make sure you get your comments in because we got Blue Jays Twitter. I'll say celebrity-ish with Blue Jays dad. So join us and we'll have some fun talking some baseball. And we hope you have a great night. Cheers.